What's going on, YouTube? Back at it, another week, another video. Let's get back into it. Last week, you guys all know that I brought you a Vernusylph deck profile. Today I'm here back to give you, I guess, just another little report on how everything went this week, because I did go to some locals and test it out. And I'm actually currently just so excited with the build. Yeah, it just proves that Rogue is still here to mess with, and that Rogue is still a good option to pick, especially for decks that nobody's really picking, like, I don't know, Vaylantz, Draco Slayer. This is a good deck. Just a lot of these good decks that, like, you know, people aren't really talking about, that just got support. And I feel like those are just really good decks. Like, a lot of times when I played this matchup this week against a lot of the newer decks and all that stuff, people were taken off guard and kind of surprised, fared a lot in very close matchups. A lot of it is just me getting used to the deck, understanding the combos and plays that the deck can actually do. And like I was telling everyone, I don't have EDO Pro or Dueling Book to really do a lot of testing until like recently I've been able to do stuff, but not really. But in person's where I've been getting most of the gameplay in. And like I said, this deck is just so great and good. And once I finally master it down, hopefully it's not too late. But without further ado, I am still missing one last set of cards. The last set of cards going to be Herald of Orange Light. Herald of Orange Light is probably the best hand trap this format. The best meaning like it can really chain to anything as far as like graveyard effects, all that kind of stuff. And it makes it so that way you can like chain to the Bestials, chain to the freaking Ishizu cards, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, like I said, this deck has really good matchups against a lot of Rogue, against a lot of Tearaelements and all that. I haven't really played any Sprite, but I can't wait to play some Sprite. But as far as Tearaelements goes, the deck performs as it needs to, and against branded Tearaelements, like I said, like this deck can just compete because it has those Ishizu cards in the graveyard to be able to be like, okay, well, you want me to mill? Okay, let's mill. Okay, you want to fuse? Okay, I'll send some cards back. And that's why I guess like the whole premise for this idea for this deck was, when I made it, was I was like, okay, there's fairy monsters. They're both fairies. They're both earths. Let's try and find a way. And like you all know, this deck doesn't really have combos. It's not supposed to be meant to be played by itself, but it can. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Let's take our first hit of the day. It's about to be 6 o'clock in the morning, so let's get it. All right, I hope you all at home took your hits and are ready to go. I hope you guys all have a blessed day. And without further ado, let's get right into the deck profile. So for the main monsters, main part of the deck, I run 40 cards. It was going to be 42 if I would have ran 3 Herald of Orange Light. But since I did not have the 3 Herald and I still have to get it, I am deciding to run Mystic Mine instead. I tried to run as much as 40 cards as possible. It's very hard, especially with now everyone's trying to fit in all the packages for all these cards in the deck. And sometimes they just don't fit. Sometimes you end up with the 50 card deck, 54, all that kind of stuff, and you just don't like it. So I was able to cut this deck down to 40 cards, 42 to say the most if you run 3 Herald of Orange Light instead of 1 Mystic Mine. So again, we're gonna run 1 Goddess, pretty basic. She's probably the best big monster that you have in this deck. No need to explain. She has 3 effects in her 1 effect box. So that's just very good. She has just multiple effects that go on. Great in the long run. Great. If you can get her out first turn, just so great. You're gonna have 1 Flower Fields, the rabbit. I really like this card a lot at 1. Don't really need to run it at 2 in late games. It's probably the best 1 of draw that you can draw. Early game, it doesn't really do anything for you, but once you have an established graveyard, this card is probably the best card to draw. And then probably, it's all right. It's really just debatable. The Thawing Mountain is at 2 because of the whole draw effect. That's really only reason why you draw is to just get the whole draw 1. Then the special summon right away. A card that I bumped down from my last deck profile, and you guys will all see it, is I dropped down Awakening Forest to 2. And the reason I decided to run this card at 2 is because if you draw it at 3, it doesn't really have that much of a, like, I don't know, like a great impacting, like, card in the long state of game. You don't really want to have multiple of these in the graveyard. So if you draw one's in the graveyard, you can only really get the use out of that card once, and you can't really use it in multiple. So that's just really the only downside to this card. You don't really want to see it more than, you know, that twice that you really see it. So again, this is just another great card that's put in the deck. Like I said, you can run 3, but I just don't, because it's just way too cloggy. I don't like when I draw too many of the same card. And so, like I said, you can run 3, but I just ran 2. Based off the last tournament that I went on, yeah, like I said, I just drew it too much. Yesterday when I went and played, didn't see it as much, like multiples of it, but when I did, like I said, it was just so good to have a 1 of. And then the best card in the deck, the best card, you have the Flourishing Hills. It's the bread and butter in the deck. Nothing need to say less about the card. The card's just broken, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And then we have its sidekick, the Mist Seedling, the Duck. The Duck is another great card. We'll always keep these at 3 because these are probably the best cards that you have in your deck available to you. And just a little highlights the difference between these cards in entirely is this one adds any of the monsters or spell and traps. This one's just going to go ahead and grab you a monster. That's Earth and Fairy. This one's going to go ahead and send one, and it's going to, yeah, just send in special like all of them do. This one's going to draw one, and then this one's going to add one from the graveyard to hand. And you can add any Earth monster, so you can add in any of your Kashtiras, any of your Reguluses, anything like that. So again, this deck, like I said, is just so good. If you guys want to play around with it at locals, like I said, I highly recommend it. You guys can run off my last build without the Reguluses and everything like that. But for the Ishizu part, we have 1 Aguido. I was running 3 in the last video, like you all saw. The reason for 3 is because, the reason for cut down to 1 is because you don't really want to see too many of the millers, because you can only really get their effects once per turn. So again, you don't really want to see them. And plus, anyways, the reason that you're only really running 1 is because you're already running 3 right there. You will see a lot of people mixing the ratios and all that kind of stuff, but I feel like for this specific deck, that's how it needs to be. And especially with the Ishizu decks also trying to be 40 cards, I noticed that that's what they run. So again, we have 2 Midoriya. No other explanation other than it's just a broken card for Keldo. And yeah, these are just, these cards are just also broken. The way that they came out, I honestly believe that this is what honestly broke the game. Not really necessarily the tier cards, but the tier cards are just so broken. But that's going to be it for the Ishizu package. Again, 3 of this, 1 of that, 2 of this, 3 of those. And that's probably going to be the standard ratio for this lineup. Again, you can run multiples. I've ran multiples, especially for my first tournament. When I went back, I ran 3 of each. And deck still performed very, very well. I'm not going to say that it was the best that I performed, but honestly, I'm just still getting back into the game, so I'm learning a whole lot. Don't really mind losing because, like I said, I'm really learning. So we have 3 Fenrir. Probably the most broken card in the deck. Not going to say it's like the most broken card. You can definitely survive without it, but once you draw into these power cards like Regulus and Fenrir, you're going to go ahead and you're going to have a nice day. Like I said, I'm not going to say that these are going to be your end all be all, like you're going to win because of these cards. Like, no, that's not true. Like, these cards just help you push for a better game state and a weirder board that your opponent has to break through. And sometimes, like, I wish, like, how I was playing at this last tournament yesterday, I wish that I was drawing some of those hands for this tournament that I played on Tuesday. And I'm going back on Tuesday to play. And honestly, like I said, like, This new build that I have, like, honestly, it's just so good. Like, the hands that I was getting yesterday, the matches lengths that I was taking these people to, like, it's just amazing to think that, like, you can push the boundaries with just this crazy little idea. So again, yeah, 2 Regulus, cards broken, and then for the last monster in the deck, you're gonna have 1 barrier statue. It's just a little annoying of a card for people to get over. Sometimes they have to go to straight to battle phase and then just get over it, no special summons. It stops a lot of the bestials from being activated because, as you know, it just says neither player can special summon but earth monsters, just like the wind statue that the Flowunderees have. Ours is just earth. And again, for the spells, we're going to run 2 Discoliseum. No reason for 3. We're not running any Discoliseum or Therion package. So again, just 2. We're going to run 1 Terraforming. Kind of want to break this card out and not run it because honestly, you can search the card anyways with the Flourishing Hills. So honestly, it's one of those cards, maybe we take it out. And then a card that I kind of want to run at 3, but I don't have a 3rd one. But honestly, I feel like 2 is just the optimal ratio because 2 is just, like I said, with the whole Flourishing Hills, you don't want to see more than, you know, 3 of it or 2 of it per turn, because then other than that, it just becomes very, very, you know, cloggy in the hand. You don't want to see, you know, a hand with, you know, that, because then, yeah, you may be able to get rid of this or whatever, but like I said, you're toast once you draw into one of these bricks. So again, you don't want to be running any more than a lot of these garnets that you can actually run. So again, I'm running 2 Corolla because it's probably, again, this is probably a card that you want to see every game. It's a free condition that you just get it, you know, get to be able to be like, okay. And the cool thing about this card is, like I was just about to say, is that it says you can. So in the case that you have a Fenrir or a Regulus, and you need to get off one of your traps towards the end of the next turn or whatever, yeah, send the card with this. You don't have to send just one off the base effect. It says once per turn, if you would discard a Vernusylph monster or monsters and 1 card to activate the effect of the Vernusylph monster in your hand, you can discard only that Vernusylph monster or monsters instead. So again, it's giving you the option to send 1 or 2. So again, just cards nuts. And you're only going to want to run 2. One of probably the card that I didn't really see, and is probably the new ad because I don't have the Heralds of Orange Light, is the 1 Mystic Mine. The only time that I saw it this yesterday was during a match, and I never really drew. It was only just a dead mill. So again, it's a card that's in the deck. You can run it just to lock your opponent down. I was thinking of ways of how to get the card out. And the only real way that you can really out it is by running, you know, your triple field spell. After that, you know, there's no real, I can't really say that, you know, Fenrir or, yeah, there's really no real way to get these, to get the Mystic Mine out unless I, you know, had some of my side deck cards. But even then, like, yeah, even then, I'd have to draw into my Cosmic Cyclone because there's no real out to this other than, you know, just drawing, you know, your Full Bloom. But yeah, Full Bloom's another broken card. I keep thinking that the effect doesn't resolve, or I just keep forgetting that it doesn't happen. But please, 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 everyone, remember that whenever you special summon a monster that is a Vernusylph monster from your graveyard, you can bounce a card to your hand, or to their hand, I believe. Yeah, target 1 monster on the field or in either player's graveyard. So you could target anything and pop it back to the hand. So this saved me so many times. I remember I was playing against a branded Tearaelements deck yesterday, and literally he goes Mirror Jade, and I remember during the end phase I activated the trap, and I got the special summon effect, and I remember the whole day I kept telling myself, I'm going to use the effect, I'm going to use the effect, and then finally I did, bounced it back to hand. There were so many times that this just came in so useful, just so please remember, I know I'm ranting on, just please remember to use the effect to pop back to hand once you get that special summon. And it only is once per turn. So if a monster comes back, so you pitch 2, well, this is activated and it comes back and they've got a board, send one of their cards back or one of your cards back. It doesn't matter, but obviously you want to send theirs. That's going to do it for the spells. Again, remember that you can switch some of these cards out. Obviously, make the build however you want to. If you're going to run cheaply or you need to run cheaply, I'm sorry that I fell a little bit a different way than the build originally intended from my last video. But again, you are making Baron from those Herald of Orange Lights by normal summoning them. There's been so many times when I've been playing throughout this week where I'm like, did I normal summon? And they're like, no, you haven't. I'm like, shit. All right. So literally, like I said, just please make sure that, yeah, you're just focusing in on the plays, and that if you're going to run a cheap build, that you could run, you know, instead of taking out, you'd have to take out the Therion and all that other Castura stuff, and you'd probably have to run stuff like Droplets, maybe like the Triple Tactic Talents, Board Breakers, all that kind of stuff. You could run more of like this package, all that kind of stuff. But again, like I said, these are just other cards. You want to try and run the deck as competitive as possible, but if you don't have the Fenrir's, also another cheap option too. Let me grab the card. You guys probably all already know it by now, but Dino Wrestler Pinkertops, that's a great card. Instead of running, you know, I can't. Mine's going right now. But anyways, like I said, like if you can run that Pinkertops and instead of the Fenrir's, by all means, go and run them. You know, like I said, if you have those cards available, run them. And then the last traps, you're going to run 3 of this. I bumped this up to 3. It's just so good at 3. Yeah, this is probably how the deck is able to survive so many times. The Ishizu Mills plus, yeah, if you get this to graveyard. You want to see mostly this be milled off any of your Ishizu stuff. You don't really want to draw it and set it because it's not real protection, and if you draw this, it's really shitty as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the main deck. I'm gonna go through the extra deck real quick. Probably the best card in the extra deck, Lackluster Soldier. You make this a bunch with the Fenrir's and the Therion King. 1 Nightmare hasn't came up. 1 Mrs. Radiant. 1 Azza. 1 Baron. 1 Leo, 1 Scrap, very old card. Again, I was thinking about running Borolo Dragon, but again, I don't really know. 1 Zeus, 1 Azura King, probably another broken card in the deck. You can probably get like a 6 or a fucking 5 Mat Zeus with this deck. 1 Jaja, effect is you detach, target itself, attack, it doesn't get destroyed. Another 5-layer Zeus. Abyss Dweller, probably another best card in the deck other than the Black Luster and the Zeus. Gaga Cowboy, another great pick for a card. Babuska and the Downward Magician, because I do not have that level 3 Earth Monster that we were all talking about in the comments. It's pretty much a Gaga Cowboy on crack. The card effect reads like someone was saying in the comments from my last video. Detach 1 card from this monster, and for each monster that your opponent controls, or not monster, for each card in their hand, they lose 200. So let's say they got I don't know, 4 cards and the game's about to end for time, you literally detach one and they lose 800 life points and you win for game. And like I said, it's an optional card instead of this. Play around with this by all means and then send me recommendations, because like I said, I don't even really know and I'm still trying to master this all out. Thank you all for watching. Again, sorry I kind of ranted on for a little bit because I'm high. Hope you guys all have a nice, blessed day. Once I figure out the side deck and everything that I'll be running in it. Oh, there's the Pankratops. You can also run this in the main. Once I fix this and it's 100% through, because I do have this case tournament coming up this weekend, so I am going to be playing this weekend. Yeah, I'm going to be playing this weekend at a case tournament. And then there's an OTS championship. So again, I just can't wait to